this the most powerful free-to-play Grail unit we have ever had? He's up there. This is a really good unit. He is harder to use than ones we've seen in the past. He's not as dumb as Marnie, but he is very interesting. Let's talk about him and what exactly we're going to do. I need to know in the comments, are you building the boulder thrower?
Die like a cowardly dog!
So before we get into the nitty-gritty of what this unit is, and that is, just to be frank, this is a damage enhancer. Let's talk about where this unit is going to be used. And really, you can use this unit almost anywhere. In Aether Raids on offense, he is excellent player phase support. He is amazing AoE support. We'll talk about that more in a second. On defense, he's less good. Right now, nukes are so much more powerful than tanks that it is definitely in the favor of anyone who's doing player phase right now. So on defense, not as much of a use. I'm going to skip over to events. I think in limited hero battles, he's going to be a lot of fun. I think in abyssals, I think you guys are going to go nuts over this one. I think he is going to be so much fun in abyssal clears. Really, what he's going to be good at is getting rid of pesky units like the Black Knight that we just saw. I know it was the wrong game this time for limited hero battles, but just understand that's the kind of thing you're looking at. The uber tanks. This is the unit that's going to help you with them. Which brings me back to Arena. This unit scores 770, which is one bin below Marnie. That's not insignificant. You would have liked him to score at least as much or higher, but that is still very much in the realm of something you should be looking at to build if you are trying to boost up your Arena team. I've got a replay of that coming up. This is the best free-to-play score bot in the game, period. This is better than Marnie because of what he allows you to do. Remember, we just talked about nukes being so much stronger than tanks right now. Being able to enemy phase is hard and very expensive, whereas being able to player phase, especially with a unit like this, can be, well, it's much, much easier. And the biggest thing he's going to help with is he's going to decrease the amount of stalemate runs you have. I cannot count the number of things I've seen on Twitter and Reddit where the people just have Black Knight or whatever nuke at the time surrounded and just can't do a single speck of damage. I'm not going to say that's not going to happen. There are conditions to how this unit will work, but it's going to happen less. In Arena Assault, he's going to do the same thing. The big difference is it's more rare to have a score bot as a Grail unit, so he makes a bigger impact in Arena. For the Arena Assault teams where you've used all of your Black Knight counters and one pops up, this unit can definitely be of aid there. So this unit runs the gamut. Let's talk a little bit about what Bolt Axe does though, because this is interesting. So we have distant counter, defense +3, adaptive damage, and slaying. That's great. Start of turns 1 through 3 deals 10 damage to foe and allies within 3 columns, excluding self. This is a bolt tower that also has parasitic damage, and you're going to want to pay attention to that. This unit doesn't so much want to be on enemy phase teams, and this includes wherever you're at, because on your enemy phase teams, you don't want parasitic damage almost ever. It'd be back in the day when you could start up Vantage this way, this would have been really handy, but Vantage, you need some really special units that already have conditionless Vantage in them. You just don't want that on your team unless you are player phasing. And the big thing is, well, let's get to it. So for foes within 3 rows and 3 columns, you get attack defense -5 on them and true damage equal to the higher of damage dealt to foe or foe's target, and then foe suffers a guaranteed follow-up attack. Now, this has the longer version in the description, but I want to break this down. This is an HP check at the start of combat. The thing you want to pay attention to is AoEs happen before combat. Burn damage happens after the start of combat. So, if the unit has taken 30 damage from 3 turns of being in 3 columns of this unit, you're going to get 30 extra damage. If you do 60 points of AoE damage and then go into combat, well, you get 60 points of true damage, which is really nice. If, for instance, you're going up against Neathogre and she does burn damage against you, you get nothing off of that. But you notice this is off of yourself or the foe, and that's important because if you wanted, you could do 30 points of parasitic damage on your team and get the bonus out of that. Remember, Hardy Bearing is rare, although it does exist in Arena and Arena Assault. It is rare, so that can be beneficial to you as well. The last little piece of this for the unit himself, start of combat, and if your HP is greater than 25%, you get a penalty equal to 20% of the unit's defense on attack and defense. True damage equals 20% of defense, and flat DR equals 20% of defense. And then you get a style. If we had left the unit right there, you would be incredibly happy. But you get a style out of this, and this is the same thing that Umalin gives out. This is the 2-ranged style that you have, and all of the stuff you guys have read a ton of times. But that extends the range of this unit by 1 space, but 1 space is significant. And I'm going to show you a few builds that really take advantage of that, but this is very neat. Let's look at just a quick replay, and I want to talk about what I'm seeing. So the first thing I want to talk about is the team I've chosen, and I try to choose a pretty low potential team. Crom is very old, and this is not an updated kit. Alear does have an updated kit, but as in this current iteration, she's not going to be the tip of the spear type of damage. And then we have Marnie, who is, even in this iteration, like there are much better builds than this. I would consider this a lower rung arena team. Now, in order to get the matchup that you're about to see, I used my higher score arena team and then went into round 2 of Arena Assault and used this. So you're going up against a 776 team, which is a great number, by the way, but also is something that is a higher team than this would see. So I want to show you a real quick rundown of what an arena run looks like. So what I've done here is try to set up Gromell to where he gets as much chip damage on the opposing team as possible. Really pay attention to the fact that we had chip damage on our own team as well. I know I just said it, but it's very, very important to actually see it and understand what is going on there. It does affect your ability to enemy phase, and we're going to see that with Ira here in just a second. The other thing I want you to notice is how hard it is to get everyone lined up in 3 rows and 3 columns. It very well might be a superior strategy to do the chip damage on your own nukes rather than try to get it on the opposing team. But you're going to do the best you can because that's what we keep doing, right? So everyone comes down here. We have the very annoying Corrin Ring kind of hold them back, and Crom is going to go and take out Ira right here. Now, this does not include the damage from Gromell, so understand that we're not getting that here because we are out of the 3 columns range. This again is something you need to pay attention to. Remember, that does take 3 rows, 3 columns that you give out that bonus damage to your opponents that are going up against the enemy, but it is based on where you're positioned from the enemy. Crom goes in, Crom takes out Ira. Good times, right? Now, the chip damage absolutely helped there, and yes, I accidentally put Ignis instead of Aether, but in this particular case, it wouldn't have mattered too much. We're going to go on and see some better benefits here, and of course, everyone's going to continue to come down, but it's past turn 3, so we're no longer getting chip damage. It's, especially with units that heal, this is going to be something that you really have to pay attention to what your shot is. Alear's going to come in and you are getting boosted damage, and this does absolutely help Alear take out Kana. Remember, Alear doesn't exactly do the most damage in the game right now. This is an older legendary, so we do our best. It's scorebots often choose us, not the other way around. So Alear takes out Kana, and that is enough for us to then get Marth without having to worry about Vantage. But again, you are getting boosted by the Gromell effect. And if Gromell was built out there, he would have easily taken out that Marth. He missed it by 3, and this is, like I said, this is something that I just pulled right off of the Grail battle and didn't put anything on him. We're going to move on, and this is what you really want to pay attention to, especially in relation to miracle shenanigans that are going to happen. This is one of the reasons why this is both a blessing and a curse for Marnie. If this Marnie, for instance, had a Gromell on their team and went down to miracle and then got to attack again, that is a huge amount of damage you get. One of the reasons these are going to pair very well. In this case, I've taken my Crom and taken this Marnie all the way down to 1 HP. And you guys have seen this before. This happens over and over again where you're able to take Marnie down to 1 HP and then she just keeps regenerating and it gets very difficult to be able to take the unit out. Now, because she has been taken that far down, Alear's going to get that true damage added on to the hit. And this is what boosts up Dragon Flame and lets you take out Marnie, and life is good. Real quickly, with Sharena's release, I just did a Sharena desk mat, and I think it looks absolutely amazing. I cannot wait for mine to come in, and I am so happy that we got another Sharena alt, even though it's mostly a copy and paste. Go check that out in the store. The link is right above my head. Let's get back to Gromell. So how do you build Gromell? There are a lot of different ways, to be frank. I've chosen 2 specific cases here that I want you to pay attention to, and just know that there are options. I'll go through them as we get going. I want to look at the budget first here, and the big reason is this is really all you need. For the budget built, I normally pick 1 premium skill, and if you've got to pick 1 for this unit, Favor is it. Helping with cooldown and allowing you to pass out empathy and really making this unit an amazing support bot is ridiculous. The only thing that you would need to make this perfect is if you had some sort of swap gate that was available on flyers and calves. You really, really want that positional. They just don't have it yet, and I'm not sure if they're going to have it. So understand that's, yeah, it is what it is. But Favor helps any sort of AoE or damage dealer or really any sort of player phase team. Favor is amazing as a B skill. Probably the best all-around B skill in the game right now. So if you just do this is a fantastic build. You don't even need Favor. There are some other options there, but they aren't as good on flyers. So I wanted, like, Detect would be good if you could have a positional, and if you are not in Arena, that is probably a very good replacement for Favor. But in Arena, and that's why I think this unit is going to have the most impact, I think Favor is really the way to go, and there aren't a whole lot of replacements for it. But again, Detect is great if you are using this unit elsewhere. Okay, invested. We're going to show in a little bit just what exactly this unit's DPS is, and this is an excellent setup. The one thing that I do not have in this is a reliable way to proc Arch Rival. We've talked about this before, but I do a lot of times just assume that you're going to be able to get that off some way, shape, form, or fashion. And in most use cases, that is true. In Arena, it is harder. So understand that. Moving down though, Blue Skies having the Canto 2 as well as the true damage, and then the attack speed, which you would rather attack defense, but we'll take what we can get here. It is excellent in his A. It is by far my first choice, although if you had one of the Sly skills, you could definitely outsource that Canto, but I think that Canto is very, very important. One last piece, if you have Trample on here, remember we don't have a lot of Hardy Bearing in Arena or Arena Assault. Trample is excellent, but you do sacrifice some damage, and this unit is not at the peak of damage dealers, so just understand that. Moving on down, Air Superiority is, if you are max investing, is my absolute favorite for this. Remember, this has pass in it, and remember, we're in the meta where the Corrin Ring is stupid and just everywhere. So it's very, very valuable to have. It does lack as much damage as you would get out of, say, a Potent Assault, but still, I am a huge fan of Air Superiority. Again, Potent Assault is there, and if you want it, that would be the backup. Deadly Miasma is really interesting, and I can't take credit for this. This was actually a Tacho idea, and I stole it. What you're doing here is flying in with pass and air superiority and laying down your own Deadly Miasma to clear out some of the very annoying terrain that is there at that moment. The downside to this is, remember, it does that in front of you, but it does clear up some paths for, say, your Celica Ring user or some other warper to help you out. It also creates a sort of backdoor for you to try to flee out and not take so much damage from whatever units are coming after you afterwards. I didn't mention, I like Arch Rival better, but Gale Force Mist is an option. I really like the idea of Gale Force Mist better than I like the actual play of it. If you are using this unit in Aether Raids offense, I think that is a great option. If you're using that in Arena, stick with Arch Rival. And I think Arch Rival overall is a better all-around thing. So, back to this. Squad Ace BT, why do I have this? Take a look at the defense right there, and you'll notice that is at 64. That is good enough to out-defense Black Knight. And this is another reason we talked about Trample just a second ago. It is very possible that you then get 4 hits off with this unit on BK, and you can actually do some decent damage to him that way. This unit is probably not going to finish off BK unless you have a lot of help otherwise, but it does make it possible, and that's, I mean, sometimes that's the best you can do with free-to-play units, especially if you consider all the true damage you're getting from this unit. Like, this is nice. Like, understand that out-defensing BK is a big, big deal. As far as the Echo skill goes, I do like Sly Echo best on this unit for what you are using this for. There's some other options. Tumultuous Echo, if you're going to use Trample, is really nice. I'll go ahead and just tell myself I did have Crux Echo there originally, and then I remembered that this unit gives out a guaranteed follow-up, and so you don't need that. So understand that's probably not the way you want to go, although the debuffs on that are nice. Stick with Tumultuous Echo. Mercy Wing Echo is actually something you could use if you want some warping to happen, especially that creates some interesting things with air superiority. Overall, though, I throw the Echo skill in there just to look at max invest things. Most of you aren't going to be giving this unit any kind of attune skill because, I mean, that's a lot. Those are very expensive and hard to get on units. Best friends. Okay, what am I symbolizing here? We'll start at the bottom with Marnie. Any unit that has Miracle on board is going to be very, very happy with this. Understand it's not that hit during. So the Miracle, like for instance with Marnie, if you take this unit all the way down to 1 HP and she, bumps back up to 8 or wherever she's at, and then she attacks again, that's when Bolter is going to be really handy for her. But that happens a lot in modes like Arena and Arena Assault. So you can make Marnie a much bigger killer, which is fantastic. Right now, Crom is the most prolific AoE unit in the game, and I'll say I just have him representing AoE units. He himself doesn't really need a whole lot of help, but he will. Just understand, like, Crom is not going to be on top of the AoE map right there, but if you have someone like Sigurd, suddenly this unit does a lot of good for Sigurd, and any sort of AoE unit, this unit is going to be their best friend. And the last tier is Byleth, and the reason I have him up there is I think from the Braves, he's the best arena score bot. And so any of your score bots are going to be really happy with the extra damage that this unit brings. And you can include duo units or anyone else as long as their player face. I say that over and over again. I did a lot of playing with this unit. Make absolutely sure that you are putting this unit on player phase teams. It doesn't do as good with enemy phase unless you are going for pure vantage, which you can do, but is less of a strategy because of how reliable it is. But I mean, if you've got a +10 Marth, you're probably not worried about this unit anyway. But if you've got a +10 Marth, I mean, you can get a lot of fun done with this unit. So we've got these two builds up here. One is basically a support and one is basically attack. The big question you should be asking is, what does attack look like? What does this build look like in the context of the game? How well do they do? This is a familiar story, but I want you to understand, like, this is a free-to-play unit, and
But I'm begging you.
this unit already offers excellent support, and this is very decent damage. So flat DR of 20 is just okay. True damage of 62 is fantastic. I have on here the 30 damage included from the chip damage, so just understand that. Then boosted damage is all from Arch Rival, and that gets you up to 64. I think you are going to need the boosted damage to get kills in a lot of the places you're going to be using this unit, except in Aether Raid's offense, where you do have some squishy units sitting around. So just understand that. This is really good though. If you wanted to max invest this unit, I think this is going to be a Marnie level score bot for a bit. If I'm guessing, I'd say 6 months. But I mean, the way this unit gives support, you're giving out true damage. And that's, if there was a theme from this year that you pull from me, it's that true damage is really good because of the way it's calculated. We won't go into that too far. Understand, this is excellent for a free-to-play unit. You are going to be able to get cleanup kills. You are, especially with that air superiority, you're going to get it from units that are 6 spaces away, which is fantastic range. And you're going to get that regardless of the green vert that is just everywhere because of Corrin. So what is my suggestion to you? Honestly, I think you can go all out on this unit safely. This is one of the few units that you're going to be able to +10 cheaply because it is a Grail unit. I think this unit is going to be viable for at least 6 months. All of those are good signs. Understand, like, this is... If you are not using this unit in Arena, if you don't want this unit as an Arena score bot, then I think the favorite build is what you want, just period, and don't worry about it. But if you're using this unit in Arena, and I think that's where this unit is going to have the most impact, I think this is what you're going to want right here. The other thing I'll say, I do like that the design is going to be very powerful in the player's hands, but is not going to be as powerful in the enemy's hands. That does make things less annoying. So I think you're going to be able to use this unit in almost every piece of the game. So whenever that happens, you go out and you build the unit. If you are looking for more of my stuff, I have a recommendation for you right here. Members, you are amazing. We're about to have some very, very fun stuff coming along. Take care and schedule an appointment with your FEHologist real soon.